Okay, what we're going to look at here is writing that simple ASP.NET website or web page that accepts a title of a song and places it in a list box. Here's a description of that. Now we want to keep this simple. We're just going to use these objects and plan ahead. A text box for input, a button that says add on it, obviously for invoking that event, and then we'll need another button that when it's clicked it makes this list box in the background, which acts like an array, in our state here. Store the values and it just displays it when it's clicked, or at least toggles it. That's what we could do. So let's go ahead and start a new website. So I'll create a website here in Visual Web Developer 2008, the Express edition, in case that's what you're using. And just be sure that I put it in a nice little spot. And I'll just call this session 3 app, or you could call it songs, I don't know what. And a lot of you are using C#, so we'll go ahead and write it in that language. Let Visual Web Developer create it and create up our solution files, and basically we'll just work with that default page right now. Okay, so here's our default page, and we can just go ahead and go to Design View. In our planning of this project, we might refer to some flowchart or pseudocode, but we can easily just plan right here on the screen and decide what to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up the standard toolbox and just give ourselves a title here. We can call this the song application, I don't know, something like that. Remember that you could take these things and force them to be a certain header. Let's just say header 1. And now we just need to put in either a label or type in text to say enter your song here, and at the end of that we can put this text box. Okay, and then we'll have our add button below it. So let's go down to the text of the add button. You can see right here, and I like to have these alphabetized, these properties, and put in add. In fact, we'll probably give this button a good name. I like to use a 3-character prefix, btn add, and I'll go back up to this text box and call this a txt song title. Alright, we don't have to get too fancy, we'll just go right there. And I'll go down and expand this particular section. You can see what we're doing here as we add the different components and the code that's being written. Notice that really I have this div here. It's, all it holds is this title and the H1 title. So there we go, and we of course could give this a particular class, and I can show you how to do that later. Just go down, and in this paragraph we have cooking along. We'll go ahead and place, and make sure we're in the form too, this list box. And we don't need to bind it to any data source, obviously. We're just going to supply it with information. And we'll go over here, add another button that says show list box. Pretty lame. Call this button show. And the list box we didn't name, so I think it's an LST song titles. Okay. There, we've got all our stuff that we really need, so we can just go from here. And we'll take, and as we work through this, we just need to be able to accept this title from this particular text box and stick it in there. So let's code. I'm going to do code behind for the button add event. Okay, so when it's clicked, we just have to pick up the name of the the song in the text box and go ahead and put it in the list box. And we'll cheat and we'll do it all in one. We're not going to check or validate, what's in the text box. We'll show you how to do that later. We're just going to put it in there. So I just know I'm going to assign that list box, which is list song titles, and refer to the items property. And that collection, we can run methods to it. So you just put dot and the IntelliSense shows us all the different methods, and we can run on it like add an item. And with this particular method, we have to put a string in here that basically adds to the collection in the list box, starting at position 0, and it adds them on while the list box is active. So we're just going to put in here the text box, txt song title. Just push tab when I find what I need, and grab its text property, whatever that string is. We're going to stick it in there. And we don't need to add anything or do anything else with it. So there we go. That's going to add. And as soon as I add something, I also want to take the text box and probably erase the contents. So that'll do that. Put in the null string, which is 2 quotes, nothing in between them. Okay, so there we go. Now, yes, you can get fancy and say, hey, wait, don't add anything if this particular text box is empty. And we could put that in there, some validation. But let's not worry about that right now. Alright, so go back to our actual page and let's do the code for the show list box. And basically, we take the list box, this song titles, and take its visible property and make sure it's true when that's clicked. Now, again here, if we want a toggle action to take place, we would just ask a question. If the visible title is true, then make it false, else make it true. So that would do the toggling effect. Alright, for now though, we're going to just keep this simple. And that means that on launch at design time, I will make this list box visible property false. So it's another property I got to make sure it happens. Everything else will show up. Alright, now it's time to test my application here locally. So I'm going to view the page, get everything saved up. And here comes my browser. And the application is running locally, as you see. And here it is, the promise. And there it toggles out. It goes to blank. I also could set the focus back up to the text box, which would be a good idea. Now we can add other titles. Or I don't know what. Okay, there's 3 that I've added so far. Now I show the list box, and there they are. Can continue to add them. And I was just thinking too, when we toggle that button, if we wrote the code for it, we'd have to switch the text in there. Not a big deal. Alright, Google Chrome here has recognized what I have done. Okay, and you notice alright, and this just starts working for us, so we can make that bigger or smaller as need be. But there we are. That's a simple application we're looking for.